Hello everybody. Today I am making a very special video, something that I know everyone on the channel has been looking forward to. Um, I have a package. Let's see what's inside. Wow. So the Little Memory Book, 7 Little Tricks That Make a Big Difference, by R.P. Brown. And if you don't know who that is our good friend of the channel, Randy P. Brown. And on the back has a little description or something here. The Little Memory Book. Are you constantly forgetting things? Do you keep forgetting important names and dates? Are you a student studying for an exam and need to remember tough subjects? Then the Little Memory Book is for you. Wow. I can't wait to read this. Okay, so here we are. We have our Little Memory Book. It's a fairly large book, which is fine. We'll see if the contents justify the height. Maybe there's just a lot of information in there. As for the cover, it's a nice graphic. It's great. Looks great. But the cover, the material, it's a nice matte finish, soft cover. Feels really nice. If you're not a fan of matte covers, you might not like it. It's not very glossy, but it feels really nice on my fingers. But I'm pretty partial to matte finishes. So let's take a look inside. Oh, here we go. Little Memory Books and Little Tricks That Make a Big Difference by R.P. Brown. Second edition. Kind of disappointed. I would have liked a first edition. That'll really hurt this book's resale value, but whatever. Okay, here we go. So we are. So I guess this is how the book looks. It's pretty big font. A very large leading in between the lines. You know what this reminds me of, actually? This reminds me of when I was in 3rd grade. We'd have these like workbooks, that we take home, and we do our homework in them. That's what this feels like. Yeah. And this font is huge. Holy smokes. Yeah, I guess he had to make it really large to I guess justify the height of this book. But if you really squeeze this down, what are we at? It's about 63 pages. This huge font. If you just squeeze it down, you could reduce the page count, and let's say you have a novel this size, like a mass paperback size, with this size font. This book would be like 3 pages long. I swear to God. But maybe they wouldn't print it if it was only 3 pages long. Okay, so I will read this book, and I will continue my review with the Little Memory Book, 7 Little Tricks to Make a Big Difference, and see if this makes a big difference. So I'll just start my review. First thing I noticed with how this book is written is it's very conversational. It's written like R.P. Brown is directly talking to you, and asking you questions, asking you to recall things. And I think that was the right approach. But in some of these chapters, it gets a little overwhelming with the way that R.P. Brown starts questioning you all the time. I'll read this excerpt. So this is from the chapter. This is from the link system. And R.P. Brown's going over his method for associating items with, or associating one word with another. So here's how it goes. He asks us, or he presents us a list of 12 items. X, notepad, chain, equate, sheep, palace, Rubik's Cube, fingers, bee, trump, a Bible, and toes. And in order to remember this, R.P. Brown says you should link one word with another somehow. So this is his method. He uses X to I used X to remind me of expert or expert. This is the same way you'll memorize speeches. You don't need to remember an entire speech for word. You just need a cue word to remember each sentence or paragraph. What did we link X to? That's right, a notepad. This will remind you of your author's note. What was shooting out of the notepad? The chain. And what is the chain part of? Links. So that will remind you of the first chapter, the link system. What did the chain fall into? Packets of equate. Equate is a substitute, and the next chapter of the book is substitute word system. What was eating 40 packets of equate? A sheep, right? Sheep are used in a lot of nursery rhymes, and the next chapter is the rhyme section. What was the sheep sleeping on? A mini palace. The next chapter is on the technique, the memory palace. What came shooting out of the palace windows? Rubik's Cubes. A Rubik's Cube is a game. Game rhymes with name, and the next chapter is 7 tricks that teach you how to remember names. How many fingers were working on the Rubik's Cube? 20 fingers, right? Well, the next chapter is how to memorize 20 digit. Fingers are also called digits, numbers. What's on the fingers? A B, right? Well, B is also pronounced B, which is a letter of the alphabet. The next chapter is how to make letters and numbers and foreign words into visual pictures. Who is eating the B? Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the president, and the next chapter is how to remember the 44 presidents of the United States. Which it wasn't. What was he swearing on? A Bible. The next chapter is how to memorize the names of the books of the Bible. Which it wasn't. And what was reading the Bible? A set of toes. Okay, as you can see, it just goes on. Actually, it doesn't go on, because that was the last one. But just kind of overwhelming, and I kind of read it really quickly because it sort of feels like I'm being interrogated almost by this book, and I don't know, it just felt overwhelming. The other problem I have with this book is it's pretty much entirely based in the reader's ability to visualize whatever R.P. Brown is asking the reader to visualize. Well, both visualization and he's asking you to recall sounds. I don't know what the audio equivalent of visualization is, but, and which is fine, you know. I do wish that somewhere like in the subtitle or on the back, it would have said that this was entirely based upon visual or the ability to visualize something, because there's a lot of people, and I have friends that they just have a problem visualizing things that people are talking about, and apparently that's rooted in this condition called aphantasia, which is a condition characterized by an inability to voluntarily visualize mental imagery. And many people with aphantasia also report an inability to recall sounds, smells, or sensations of touch. So, if you're one of those people who have aphantasia, you will not be able to understand this book, because it is pretty much entirely based upon visualizing R.P. Brown's images that he wants you to visualize in this book. Another problem I have is that, sometimes even R.P. Brown isn't able to really help us visualize something. There are two instances in the book where he tells us to just Google something. I was really surprised at this. I think if you're reading a book, you probably shouldn't be picking up your phone in the middle of it to just Google something. That's where like an author's ability to describe and create a scene should come in. And I think a good author would be able to describe something or provide context clues to help you visualize or talk about something. I can't remember what exactly it was that he told us to go Google, but it was it really stood out to me. But I don't know. There's also some impractical uses for memory in this book. Like the entire chapter on what he calls a memory palace. I think the best section was R.P. Brown's chapter on remembering names. So if you have trouble remembering names, I would actually recommend this chapter. It goes over specific techniques that you can use to remember someone's name. Like, make sure you hear the name. If it's a tricky name, have them spell it. Use the name a few times during conversation. Rhyme the name with something else. And I think that's great. I would have liked to see these specific techniques, or more universal techniques like these that everyone can do in the other chapters, because the other chapters, it's all very anecdotal. R.P. Brown is saying, like, here's this number, and this reminds me of 1979, which was the year I was born. But a normal person is gonna have to come up with some other reason to remember something that has to do with 1979. So I really liked the chapter on remembering names, because it's very universal. Anyone can use these techniques and use this exact text to remember names. Whereas in all the other chapters, you really can't. There's really nothing universal about it. It's largely anecdotal and based upon R.P. Brown, his ability to remember stuff, as opposed to like the reader's ability. He doesn't really. He tells you how he remembers stuff. He doesn't help you get to the point where you can start remembering stuff on your own. If that makes sense. And I think that's really most of what I have to say. This is the second edition of the book, but there's nothing really in here that would have indicated that it's been edited for a second edition. Like I mentioned earlier, there's that list where or R.P. Brown says, the next chapter is how to remember all the presidents, and that was in the first chapter of the book. However, the how to remember presidents and how to remember the books of the Bible, those are all bonus chapters in the end of the book. So I don't think that I think that was a little bit of an oversight. And in creating the second edition, they didn't update it correctly, or he didn't update it correctly. There's also in that remembering the names of the presidents. That chapter is outdated as well. Apparently, it was written in 2015. This chapter, and R.P. Brown says he's not going to handhold you through all 44 as of 2015 presidents and all 66 books of the Bible. So I figure, for a second edition of the book, which I can see on the printing label, says made in the USA, Las Vegas, Nevada, December 22nd, or December 27th, 2020. What's the deal here? That's my review of the Little Memory Book, 7 Little Tricks That Make a Big Difference. I think really there's one trick that makes a big difference here. Well, actually, no. It is 7 Little Tricks That Make a Big Difference. But I think the name of the book should be like the Little Memory Book about names. Or memorizing names. R.P. Brown should just write like a BuzzFeed article on how to remember names. Take that chapter on remembering names, make it its own thing, because I think that's really the only thing of value here. And I think it would, like, look at the size of this text, I think you could easily just turn it into a BuzzFeed article or something, or wherever someone lets you just write an article for free. All right, thanks for checking out my review. I'll be back with more reviews in the future.